In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a border and title strip for your drawing using some basic tools that you have accessible at home. Just a pencil, standard ruler, and a protractor. If you do not have a protractor, we have a digital protractor available for you in our Google Classroom. So first of all, these directions on how we're going to do this are posted in our Google Classroom. So you will want to review those directions first. The first thing we need to do is we need to set up our border and our title strip. And so to do that, the first thing I'm going to do is just draw a line approximately parallel with the bottom edge of my paper all the way across. Next, I'm going to put a small mark about 1/4 of an inch over from one of my edges. In this case, I'm using the right edge of my paper. And now using my protractor, I'm going to mark out a 90-degree angle. When I do this, I want to make sure that I've got the mark that I just placed in the center of this hole with these black lines lined up with my baseline. That's going to give me an accurate measurement. And I put a small mark up here at 90 degrees. If I set my protractor with the bottom edge against my baseline, my measurement is not going to be accurate because all of the angles are referenced off of this intersection here. So you will want to familiarize yourself with your protractor and make sure you are marking correctly. Now that I have these 2 points, I'm going to move this so that hopefully you can see better. I've got my 90-degree point here and the vertex point I used there. Now I can use my ruler and simply connect those 2 points and get the right edge of my border. Keep in mind, when you do your drawing, you want to draw these lines lightly as construction lines so that you can come back later and darken your drawing and these lines will disappear. I'm drawing them much darker so that you can see them well. The dimensions for our border and title strip are 10.5 inches wide. And so I'm going to mark out that 10.5 inches across the bottom and across the top. And now I can connect these 2 points to define the left edge of my border. Now the total height of our border is 8 inches. So now I'm going to measure that out. And the whole reason that we use the border and title strip is to create a consistent workspace to do our drawings in, because not every piece of paper is exactly the same size. And so this allows us to set up a consistent workspace so that all of our drawings can be done the same. So now I've got my border completed. Okay? The next thing I need to do is add the title strip along the bottom. So the dimensions for the title strip call for 3 additional lines spaced out 1/8 of an inch each. So I'm going to turn my paper sideways to make this a little bit easier. And I'm going to set my ruler on the edge of my border. And I'm going to put marks at the first 3/8 markings. So that's a 16th. This is an 1/8. Put a mark there. Another 16th, another 1/8, another 16th, another 8th. So there are my 3 marks for the lines in my title strip. I need to recreate those at the other end. A mark at an 8th, a mark at an 8th, and a mark at an 8th. Now I can connect these lines, and these will create the title strip for my drawing. Again, just as a reminder, when you are doing your drawing, make sure you draw lightly so that you can easily come back and just darken the important parts. Okay. The final step before I darken in my lines is to set the vertical dividers of the title strip. So starting over here at the left edge, and you may have noticed that I start my measuring with the 1-inch mark. With this particular ruler, that's just because the first inch has 30 seconds and it feels a little cluttered. And so I start with 1 inch. So my first mark is going to be 1 inch over from the edge, in this case at the 2-inch mark on my ruler. My next mark is 2¼ inches from this point. So here's 1 inch, here's 2 inches and a quarter. My next mark beyond that is 3¼ and so from 4, I'm going to go 5, 6, 7 and a quarter of an inch. And then my fourth mark, is 3 inches from this point. So I'm at 7½, so I'm going to come over to 10½. Okay? So I've got my 4 points marked out. I need to recreate these points across the top edge of my drawing. And the reason I'm going to create them at the top edge is so that I get a more accurate line. It's easier to keep your ruler straight when your points are further apart than if they're really close together. So here's my 1 inch. Here's 2¼ from that point. Here's 3¼ from that point. And here's 3 from my last point. Now I can rotate my paper. And when I connect these lines, I'm only drawing the lines through the title strip at the bottom. I'm not extending them all the way across my paper. And now my border and title strip, all of my work is done. And normally what I would come back and do now is I would darken the important lines. In a border and title strip, the lines that must be darkened are the top edge, the very bottom edge, the top line of the title strip, and then all of our vertical lines, the left edge, the right edge, and the 4 dividers within our title strip. The 2 center lines in your title strip, right here and right here, do not get darkened. And the reason for that is when we come back and fill out our title strip, we want those lines to be light and disappear. Here is a title strip that I completed yesterday. And you can see that the center lines in the title strip are very faint. You may not even be able to see them on your computer screen right now. But they are there. And what they allow me to do is center the text in those boxes so that it looks neat and professional. Okay? So your finished title strip with border should look just like this paper here.